and I spent a lot of time building with the Baco building set. A lot of time. I was never creative, but I was always very good at copying the designs that they gave you. So that took up a lot of my playtime after I'd had it.
So what did you make from your Meccano?
Oh, anything and everything. You mentioned it and I made it. I didn't use the book very much. I just made up something. If I wanted a crane, I'd build a crane, or a car, I'd build a car.
Would still much rather build. Definitely remember, I'd always much rather building something to my own design. Not in a, I'm going to set out to build this particular thing that's in my head. It would be built as I was piecing bits in. So you would take bits out, trying to find the thing that was most pleasing to yourself, kind of thing. But yeah, I definitely always preferred building things for me rather than what was on an instructional bit of paper. Even if it was a kit or something like that, the first time you'd build it, and you would build it as it says, and then that would probably only last about 5 minutes before you started thinking, how can I, what can I do with this? What can I make with this, with these same blocks,
Well, with the Lego, which took it very seriously, we had a big piece of plywood that we painted a road on that ended in a beach, and it had plots for each of the houses, and we used to build, like all of us, like me and my brothers and my auntie, used to build all the houses and put them on the street, and we used to put a pirate ship in the sea, and then we used to leave it up for a week or so and, play with it like a city.
Lego was also, once again, spent ages constructing and then all for the point of destroying it. Never really had any models that I kept in one piece for more than a week. Would follow the instructions at first, and then usually it would just go in the big box and then construct my own original ideas. Like massive buildings were my favourite thing to do because you could destroy them slowly. It's society sort of running, not really war with Lego. It was how society ran, who did what, that sort of thing. Each one had a job, stuff like that. So then there'll be political strife. I don't know. It's this whole society ran. There'll be a great big catastrophe, and you start over again the next day.
I suppose I would develop great big fantasy cities if I could manage it, and undersea empires, that sort of thing, as best I could. Well, I was very influenced by Gerry Anderson puppet series and Stingray. I was a bit keen on, and lived in a realm of fantasy in my head, really, and I was quite content there.
In the winter, it would be almost certainly inside, and in the summer, they'd spend a lot of time in the backyard, garden, buried. They'd have camps, or they'd be hidden, or they'd be fighting the next door neighbours. They'd be in a sort of team engaged in warfare with next door. So that was, they spent a lot of time outside getting very dirty with all their equipment. I used to build sort of emplacements for either soldiers or action men to hide behind. So it was mainly for building battlements and stuff, or set designs. So after you built around a square and built a house or built a wall, then had to fill a purpose. It wasn't enough just to have that. So Lego, but mainly I got the benefit from bricks or other things that I found items.
The back room was where the radio was, and where we would sort of read and sit and live. And it had a paisley rug. It wasn't a lot bigger than this room. It had a paisley rug, and the paisley I made into a town for my marbles, and the marbles were the passengers and the people in the train served that town. So, I used to be on my stomach on the paisley rug while everything else was going on all around me, and I would, that was my world.
But my big thing was trolls. They were my absolute favourite thing in the world. And I had a collection of about 150. And they were all different types. So I had, like doctors and everything. I used to like doing their hair. That was a big thing. different hairstyles. I used to carry them around in a bag, and I even made a passport for them. So when I took them places, I would make a passport stamp about where they'd been, by bag or by bus. You know, the mode of transport was very important. And they all had different names, which I used to remember. I used to, reel off 50 or 60 troll names. It was lots of pretend play, lots of conversation. Let's go and see the Dr. Troll. There was a vicar. I had a vicar who used to marry people. He used to marry the trolls. That's good. I had a dinosaur. He was cool. Rainbow hair.
Have like school lessons and sit them around in a circle with the other dolls and give them pieces of paper and things to do.
Yeah.
And just like you would do at school. So.
Well, I had lots of dolls actually, and I took my responsibility towards them very, very seriously. I couldn't leave home on a cold morning without making sure they were all covered up in the bedroom. So they would be on the floor, on cushions and things, and they had to be covered up.
I remember a few times I got up at night, in the middle of the night, because I had forgotten to undress her, put her pyjama on. When I came back from school, she had to sit down with me and listen, and sort of trying to learn to write and read, and I think she just was more of an imaginary friend than a doll. And that hair kept me endlessly busy. I did everything I could do with this hair.
I used to play with things in my imagination. I sit on my bed, a single bed, and put a chair on the bed, not upright, but laying on the back, and sit in this chair and spread a sheet over the top of me. In my mind, I was flying an aeroplane. But I used to collect the empty tutu cases, small brass cases, and I created in my mind like a weapon. It wasn't. What it was a metal coat hanger, a metal coat hanger as well, which I cut into a shape, basically like that. So like a grip and a piece coming at the end, and at the end of that, under that, I put a spring. Found a little spring somewhere, and I compressed the two bits together. So if you held it, you could hold an empty tutu cartridge on the end of it with your finger. When you let it go, it spun off.
I lived on the banks of the St. Lawrence River. That's not the longest river in the world, and it's not the widest river in the world, but it has more volume of water flowing through it than any of them, any other river in the world. So it was it's a huge river. It flows 24 feet thick in the winter, and when the winter was starting to come on, to be a gang of us kids, we'd tip off sacks. The first bit of snow that came down, we'd go up and down, and slide. And as soon as it was hard enough, we would get on there with our skates, and we'd go down this, and some of us would take it 10 miles out into the river. One fella came on. The problem was you had to skate all the way back, and by the time you skated all the way back, you didn't want to go down that hill again that day. But this fella came on, John Hay, I'll never forget him. It was just like a blind. He's got it on this. What's that then, John? He says, you'll see. And off we went. And then as we were skating back, here he comes back. It's like a little sail he's come back with. So we all tried to make the same kind of sail. We were never as successful as John was. That was a bit of fun, really.
I've got to be honest with you, there are so few toys around, and I came from a pretty bad area, like a low working class area, and we didn't have much in the way of toys. We used to improvise. I used to use, if you had a stick, it became a gun.
Yeah.
If you had you could turn a chair over and it became a tank and things like that, you know. Well, we mainly played out in the street, to be honest with you. We played Well, you know, we played football and kick out ball and all that. You know, you won't know all that, you know, young women like you, but we didn't really have anything to play with. We would just improvise things. We had a string with a tin can tied on the end of it. Somebody stood in the middle of the ring and turned it, and we all hit it with sticks as it went by. And they called it a slap can. And if you hit the string instead of the can, you had to go in the middle and spin it right.
Okay.
You see, those are silly games we used to play.